720, Big 550 KTRS. One of the good guys is Ryan McClure. He is Director of Communications for the City Arch River Project. Welcome back to the show, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So the arch is under construction, and you guys made some adjustments or some tweaks to the plan, or some announcements coming up here?
Well, we actually we broke ground on the improvements in the park yesterday.
Okay.
So it's just another step forward. So
Right.
everything is moving forward. We're going to break ground on 3 more components this year. So what we did yesterday was break ground on all the landscaping improvements that will happen in the park. So
Gotcha.
that will mean new soil. Everything that was planted on the arch grounds was planted on fill. So that's why the trees aren't as big as they should be.
Right.
They haven't grown as much as they should have. So new soil. We're going to be replacing some trees. Improving the reflecting ponds, so they actually reflect things instead. They're
Instead of
covered
the
with
mold.
algae all the time now. So, and also, one of the most important things we're doing is building in accessible pathways on the arch grounds to get between the river and the park. Right now, you have to take 61 steps to get from the arch to the river, and that's if you have to use a wheelchair or
Right.
mobility device. Or you're a young family with a stroller, it's just impossible to do.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that we're solving that.
Sure. Let's talk about the reflecting pools for a moment,
Yeah.
because I think that's really exciting. There are people who've been to the arch grounds who never knew there were actually reflecting pools there.
That's absolutely right. If you're on the ground, it's tough to know that those pools are there. If you see them from above, which not everybody gets to do,
Right.
you see them. But a couple of things that we're doing, we're improving the stormwater management system on the arch grounds, so it's going to be more sustainable, and that also improves the water quality in those ponds.
Right.
Also, we'll be building in some paths to the ponds, so it encourages people to go down and interact with them and
So you
enjoy
could
them.
actually grab a lunch and sit
Sit
next
by
to
the
the
ponds.
reflecting pond and watch the road go by.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could do that now. It's just you're not invited to do it, and there's no pathway down there.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's back up a second. I know you guys hate calling it the lid, but everyone knows it as the lid. But the park over the highway.
Right.
Where are we with that?
So we're making great progress on that. All of the girders have been laid down on that, and they've actually put all the concrete down. So what they're building right now are the sound walls that will reduce the level of noise that you get from the highway on the edges. So great progress being made there. I think there may be some pictures going up
Sure.
on showing that. And you can go to our webcams at cityarchriver.org. And you can see the construction taking shape every day. But
Yeah, they're live, but you also have time-lapse cameras
that's
as well,
right. Right.
Yeah.
You can time lapse it and see what's happened for the last year. So
Yeah.
You gotta love a good time lapse.
Oh yeah, those are always fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so the park is going to be done when? I mean, this is all on schedule, right? For that park over the highway.
Well, for the Park of the Highway, that should be done by the end of 2015.
Okay.
So the schedule as it stands now is, the Park of the Highway will be done by the end of 2015. The riverfront will be done by the end of 2015. All of the landscaping in the park won't be done until 2016.
Right.
And then the last thing to open will be the museum, and that won't open until spring of 2017.
And you still have the Keener Plaza and Old Courthouse stuff. too.
Exactly. That's in the plan too. And no real set schedule on Keener Plaza yet, but it's definitely going to happen. And the old courthouse, we're actually making some improvements to that right now. Accessibility improvements on the outside of the building. And it's going to be the temporary visitor center when the museum closes for construction. So, and then after the new museum opens, then we'll redo all the exhibits in the courthouse.
Now that you're starting and broke ground and digging on the landscaping, I know, and you know, that you're going to find something.
Right.
Right. I mean, what are some of the things you might find on that space?
So that's a great question. We through this construction progress, you really need to do archaeological monitoring, which we're doing as part of the contract for construction. So, we'll see what we find. It's possible too. One of the really interesting things is on the arch grounds, when they cleared all the buildings that were there by 1942, a lot of the buildings were kind of just knocked into their foundations.
They just left them there.
Right. So you could find foundations of buildings. You could find things. We hope that it doesn't slow us down too much on construction, but
Right.
we're definitely taking
But
great
when you
care.
find something, you have to call in an archaeologist, do you not? Or something along those lines?
I'm not exactly sure what the process is,
Right.
but we monitor it very closely.
You did find a French home, right? At one point?
Well, I know that during the Poplar Street Bridge construction, so that's MoDOT's
Okay.
work, they found some items from the French colonial era that
Right.
actually could be displayed in the new museum, which is really cool. So it was a separate project, but I mean, it just kind of shows you that there's all kinds of things
There's all
around
right
that
there.
area. So.
Yeah.
Well, what was there before the arch, though? Were there homes?
It was-
What kind of buildings were there?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, you had it was mainly warehouses left over from the riverfront era, so the steamboat era. So by the 30s and 40s, that era had come and gone. So what you had was a lot of buildings that were unused and kind of a dingy riverfront that people couldn't enjoy. So when Luther Ely Smith came in with his idea of a monument to westward expansion, eventually those buildings got cleared.
They cleared them when? What year?
They were all cleared by 1942. I think they started to clear them in the late 30s.
and then it sat vacant.
That's right. Yeah,
Until-
it's sat vacant for a long time. And I would mention, the one building they didn't clear obviously is the old cathedral,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
still there and,
Yeah.
and is a magnificent building. So the grounds sat empty for a long time until they started construction in the late 50s. So
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of reasons for that. They didn't even have the international design competition that gave us Eero Saarinen's design for the arch until 1947. So you had the design competition, then you had a few years trying to get funding, get all the things running around to start construction, but eventually finish the arch in 1965.
Two more things.
Yeah.
The arch and the arch grounds is still open during construction.
That's absolutely right, and thank you for mentioning that. So we want to make sure that people know that you can go to the arch during construction. We're going to kind of organize construction fences so that you can get through the Walnut Street entrance, and that's going to be your one entrance during construction. And so you can go in the Walnut Street entrance right next to the old cathedral and go to the south leg of the arch and go up in the trams. It's important to everyone that we maintain some sort of experience there, a visitor experience during construction.
Yeah. I also can't wait till you dig up the new entrance for the Westward Expansion Museum, right? You're just going to start digging and you're going to sort of link the two underground, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea.
Right, that's exactly right. So you bring the entrance to the west, which is the part of the critical thing we need to do to connect St. Louis to its iconic structure. I mean, that's never been done before.
Right.
And the entrance is now at the west, and then it'll be about a 40-foot hole that we dig down to build the expansion, and then it kind of goes into the back wall of the existing museum now.
Right.
So it's
Big-
going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cityarchriver.org to find out everything.
Yeah.
And then funding. This is funded by a taxpayer-supported sales tax and big business, right? I mean, people have donated millions of dollars to this.
That's exactly right. So, $90 million. It's a $380 million project. $90 million of that comes from Prop P, which was approved by St. Louis County and St. Louis City voters. There's some other public funding in it as well, but the largest majority of funding comes from private donations,
Right.
which has been it's an unprecedented show of support from the business community and private philanthropy here. It's one of the largest private investments in a national park since the renovation of the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island.
That is extraordinary, and St. Louis is getting a lot of bad raps these last couple of weeks and months. But when the call is made, they pony up,
That's
right?
absolutely right.
Yeah. Cityarchriver.org. Ryan McClure, our guest, his official title is the Director of Communications for the City Arch River. You are welcome here anytime. So
Well, I'll be here anytime you have me.
you
So
got
thank
it.
you.
7:30 here, Big 5.